peace, and love. Welcome to episode number 10 of the I Am Perspective radio show. I'm usually looking at somebody. My name is Jorel H. Whitfield. I am your co-host for the evening.
And my name is Nasi Alam, and I am also the co-host of I Am Perspective Radio. And we're going on live right now. So if you're tuning in, please go to YouTube and type in I Am Perspective at Wems Radio, or you can go on www.wemsradio.
All right. We had a wonderful radio show planned for today, as we usually do. We had a very special guest who we were both excited to talk to, who she could not make it in today physically, but we will be hearing from her shortly. And I guess let's just jump into why she's not here and what this conversation now jumps into. So, for those of you not aware, I'm not sure who will be watching this when.
If you haven't been paying attention to the news.
If you haven't been on the news, we're kind of in a global pandemic right now. And it is slowly but surely affecting everyone on the planet. And guess what? New York City is a part of the planet. And whereas, we're here in New York, nothing affects us. We're New Yorkers. Everybody in here is New Yorkers. Man, a meteor could hit this place. If the pizza spot is still open, the subways are working, people are going to work. We just don't really care about that shit. The attitude of this city is like, show me. Yeah, word apocalypse. Apocalypse who? Where you at? We really gotta see
to believe it.
Yes. And I think we're kind of at the beginning stages of seeing what this is gonna look like for the country and for us in the next, I don't know how long.
We don't know how. Yeah.
Our special guest today was coming from New Rochelle, a little bit outside of New York, to those viewing from outside of the area.
Yeah, we had Miss Lucinda Cross, who was going to be our special guest live in person today, and I know she really did want to join us, and she will still be calling in today. It's ironic that the title of today's episode is called Success After Prison. And so she just gave us a text about a little while ago on her way here, and she basically was like, I can't make it anywhere. This town of New Rochelle has been locked down, and not only just locked down, but the National Guard is coming in. It's a whole big deal. There's a high concentration of the coronavirus there.
The highest in the country. Again, we're not on this platform to spread any fear or anything like that. Just some of the facts. We're not going to run through all of the numbers. I don't think that's necessary. But for right now, New Rochelle has the highest cluster of active coronavirus patients. Governor Cuomo has put in a quarantine, a state of emergency for the entire state, but a quarantine specifically for New Rochelle. We're talking about the National Guard coming in. We're talking about a mile radius block off. People being brought food to their homes. So whereas this has been kind of lighthearted for a lot of people, I think as many things in the world, we don't really feel it until it hits us, until it gets close. And
New Rochelle's kind of close.
This is very very close. Many people commute from New Rochelle daily to the city. So I understand it. Prof and I, folks in the studio here, we were talking about the measures of what the country is taking and the government and so forth. And on one hand, I very much understand it. New York City has a population of an influx of 15 million people on any given day. And all it takes is one person to get sick. And this whole city is in a lot of trouble. And that's the same thing for all major cities. So we have to practice some kind of patience and understanding as we kind of work through this and see how this works. So on our way over here, Nasi and I, we were also informed that our women's conference, which we've been working so hard on, and not just Nasi and I, but we got a great team of people who've been helping us. Everyone's excited that we have sponsorship lined up. We had
different groups coming in to host different workshops. It was really, it's still going to be a very great event, amazing event. But however, we will be rescheduling both our women's conference and most likely our men's conference as well. That's probably hers. Yeah, you can answer. Um, and so that is an announcement. We will be sending out the official notices, and we will let everyone know it's done.
Hello.
Hi, Lucinda.
Hi.
Can you hear
Hey.
us? Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay,
All
great.
right, excellent, excellent. Lucinda, stay with us just one moment. We're just breaking everybody into the show. You called in early. Thank you very much. And we will give you a proper introduction in 1 second.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go on mute.
No, it's um. So we were just. You want to finish this?
Well, yeah. Well, since Lucinda joined us, and she is calling from New Rochelle right now, so it's a very interesting thing. As Nussie said, we were going to have her on here. She's got an amazing, successful career post lockup or post incarceration, and she has a great positive a positive message for not only those who are coming out of incarceration, but anybody who's coming out of a situation that feels like that. And that's why Nussie and I was like, this is really
Almost ironic.
almost ironic, because what does that look like when we're talking about quarantine? You know,
Yeah.
we're talking about someone being locked up. We're talking about rights being taken away, freedoms being taken away. And freedom is something that we all of us take for granted, you know, just to be able to walk outside, just to be able to go take a smoke or get a bag of chips or whatever. What does that look like? Yeah, seriously, you know. And that's what we mean. Like, this is all really kind of lighthearted until you can't go outside and get your black and mild or something.
Until someone tells you can't do something.
Right, until somebody tells you, right? Nussie made a great point. She's like, oh, this is going to be a great time for introverts. But I'm like...
Until, like...
But, you know, introverts are mostly introverted because they want to be, not because someone sits their ass down and tell them. So... This is gonna really be an interesting.
Yeah, I think we had a different kind of conversation, maybe, but you know, as always with I Am Perspective, we really just go with the flow of how things are. So, Lucinda, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Anyway, regardless of the circumstances of and the how and you know, so. We are really excited to have you. Thank you.
First of all, how are you doing?
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. You know, me, I'm not mentally. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good mentally, physically. I'm well, health wise. I'm great. I don't get caught up in the whole frenzy thing and panic mode. That's not me. I mean, maybe it's because I did time before. I'm like, hold up,
Right.
Yeah.
hold up. What's going on, you know? And so I'm well. I am well.
Excellent. That's great to hear. So since you did bring that up, would you like to introduce? I know we introduced you, but would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little about and the community a little bit about your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So just briefly, you know, I did serve time in federal prison as a teen, 18 years old, and just trying to live that get money life, and end up serving 4.5 years in federal prison for it. First time offense, nonviolent, but didn't realize I was a part of a larger case than I could even imagine.
Oh boy.
And so, yeah.
So they RICO'd you up?
Came home. Go ahead.
No, he said she didn't hear what you said.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I was saying they RICO'd you. They collaborated you with a bunch of people.
Basically, the whole conspiracy piece was crazy. So yeah.
Okay.
And so, you know, that is your past. So can you tell us a little bit more about just what you were able to accomplish after you came out of prison? And you didn't serve your whole time, right? You were released early?
Yes, released early, good time. They give you that good time, and then you accepted to spend some more time in the halfway house, and so I did that. But, I mean, that was many, many years ago, but it's a part of my strength, right? And so I'm happy to bring it up and talk about it. There was a time where no one really wanted to bring it out, and I said, listen, I'm telling my story. That's just what it is. But from that experience and now celebrating who I am now, many years later, was able to, as soon as I came home, my goal was to go back to college, repair my relationship with my family, and seek out to find a way to make ends meet and venture into entrepreneurship. And I did just that. With just having a vision board journal and some notes on who do you want to be, Lucinda, and how are you going to get there? That was my question every single morning. Who do you need to be and how are you going to get there? And I used that journal to kind of chart my course to what you see now. You know, all of that is still unfolding because I stayed consistent to the dream, you know, of being an entrepreneur, of wanting to be an author, of wanting to make change. And, you know, here we are. I'm a mom with 3 kids and a bonus, and an amazing supportive husband, and just 2 thriving companies. One is a nonprofit that supports women reentry and at-risk youth who are my age, as well as my for-profit, where a lot of the public speaking, the book writing, the consulting, and, you know, give me that bag. That's that. You know,
I love how you throw that in there as its own entity. Give me that bag. Right. What do you do? I do. Give me that bag.
Wait, hold on. Let's be clear for the record, just in case. The boys is listening. The legal bag.
Yes, the legal bag. Let them know. She said, I got people tapping my phone. The legal bag, that is. Absolutely. That's wonderful. You just dropped a great word. Nussie and I, we were in the schools earlier if we haven't mentioned this on it, we do so much with Iron Perspective, but we are also in the New York public schools and high schools and elementary schools. We bring our work to children as well as adults. And earlier today, we were in Brooklyn in high school talking about consistency. And I just heard you drop that word. The actual word we were talking about was integrity, and learning the young adults what that is to be yourself consistently. And I just that word stood out as you were talking about your story there. What was the hardest part about getting back into, let's say, the flow of real world or regular life?
The hardest part in getting back, the whole, you know, planting myself back on what we call the free world. That is, man, that might need to be a T-shirt. Free world. But,
the free world.
But the hardest part is that because the odds are completely against you. 1, I'm a Black woman. 2, you know, have a colorful background. 3, no college degree or education at that time. You know, poverty. You know, so I just had so many strikes against me. And so when you don't really have the society or the community that you're coming back to look different and have the resources to help you level up, or even those who believe in you being different and changing, it's hard because you're in this on your own. But I use that as something to stand on, to say, I'm not going to allow society to break me down. They want me to be on welfare. They want me to stay in the projects. They want me to continue to beg them for an opportunity and a way of life. And they want to continue to tell me what I did wrong. Nope, I'm stripping this number off and really stepping into who Lucinda is against all odds. And that's what I did. And it wasn't easy because of no support. But
that's also I wanted to ask as well, is like, what did the support look like? Was this all self? Did you just have the fire when you came out? Was it something that you had been waiting for while you were locked up, or were you supported by friends and family when you came out?
But, you know, of course, no friends, because everyone is there when it's time to spend the money. But, you know, when it's time to do the time and to show the support, you know, everybody's crickets, everybody's busy. But, you know, I'm grateful to have such a supportive mother, my father, my brothers. I'm the oldest of, you know, 4, so I'm the only girl. And so just having my mother's support to say, listen, whatever you decide to do, if it's positive, you got my backing. And she just really was she's a psychology major, so you know, she was playing a lot of mind games with me, like, all right, so how do you see yourself doing that, and what do you think about that, and what does today? And so I was like, I had to prove to her that I didn't snap inside. So a lot of my moves and decisions were based on show and tell. Like, let me show her that I got this together. Let me show her that I'm actively trying to make change. Let me show her that I'm an investor and a believer in myself instead of asking for a hand up. But it was my mother, the close-knit family support that I had. It's not even the outside family. Like, I was the black sheep of the family, you know? So it's like, oh, you know, she's hardcore. You know, I don't know what they've seen, but you know, I just was like taboo. But
so
it's all good now.
What
they
watch
me on TV.
Okay. Yes. You know, and what I hear from that is let me show her, and that's really, you know, in terms of the work that we are here to do at I Am Perspective, one of our biggest, you know, we're looking to create empathy. And the way that we're able to do that is through our conversations, where you're able to show someone what it is to be in someone else's shoes through words, and not necessarily like you have to physically have experienced it yourself or seen it yourself. So last year we actually started our Crime and Punishment series. We were at NYU, and we had the opportunity to fill the room with people who have never had anyone in their lives affected by the prison system. We've had people in there who are relatives of someone who was in the prison system. And we also had an ex-convict or two in the room, right? And really bringing everyone together in the same space to share perspectives and empathy, right? Like, I think if people don't hear your story, if people don't hear about the positive influences and the impact that people out of prison have made, then how, you know, there's a little bit of a disconnect there of what that could look like, right? So,
I've grown up. I don't want to say like I grew up with. It's hard to say that, but I grew up in the hood, man. I grew up with prison in my family. My brother just. I don't want to say that. My brother contacted me. Just like literally just now. My brother is incarcerated. Shout out to my big bro, Kevin. I actually have two brothers locked up. Everybody I knew growing up pretty much had somebody in their immediate family who was locked up. And it was kind of something that we just grew up with. It's a weird thing when I look back at it. So when we did that event that Nussie is talking about, it kind of shocked me to hear from people who don't have any kind of relations to anybody locked up. And it opened up the conversation of what people think prisoners or inmates should get, the kind of benefits they should have. There were questions like, why do prisoners have TVs and why do they have this? And it's very, when we talk about perspective, like we really shifted. We go back to that event a lot of times when we make the point of why perspective is important, because when we do those one-on-one events, a lot of times people walk away with new perspectives at the end of
when you're sitting across from a human being and listening to them speak about what their experience is, and in this case, there was a woman who was sitting with a brother of someone that was in the prison system, and as he was sharing, you know, his brother was actually had already, you know, done very good deeds in the community, but then was called back to go into prison because now his
they
child
came back and got him after 8-9 years.
Right, after 8-9 years, and so like, you know, I think hearing from his perspective and seeing how that affected the whole family, how, you know, this man was out in society trying to do better, it gave her a different perspective. Before that, she really did think, you know, they shouldn't have TV, like they fucked up, they did what they did, and that's what they deserve.
Did you experience anything like that, Lucinda, or feels from people who were like, you know, you deserve to be there, or maybe some alienation?
You know, when I came out, oddly enough, inside, no, because my case was in Chicago. My whole family and life was in New York, so it was hard. The case was in Chicago, but I did my time in FPC Bryan, Texas. So I was really disconnected from
they put
other
you
people's
far
opinions
away.
And views.
Wow.
Say that.
I said they put you far away.
Yes.
They put me far. But I experienced that as I started to succeed. So it was like, wait a minute. So you're not counting yourself out. How dare you reach for more education? How dare you try to get a job? You know, and so it was as if it was expected for me to fail and continue to be a F up versus trying to turn my life around. And the more I started to win awards and get a little bit of recognition for some of the things that I did that I wasn't asking for, but, you know, people were like, well, why are we glorifying, you know, an ex-con? Like, what makes a formerly incarcerated woman, you know, favorable? She, you know, destroyed our communities by helping to bring drugs in our communities. Like, why are we awarding her for this? And so I would hear that after I came out and kind of did the full circle.
Right. And that was the initial point of there are so many people who America has the largest prison population on the planet, and yet still so many people who don't feel that direct effect, and they ask questions like that. Like, well, when is a person's time served? If you did 4.5 years for a mistake you made as a teenager, at what point do you stop serving that sentence when you come home?
Or does the punishment fit the crime?
That's good. That's good. When do you stop serving that sentence? That's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I prepared for this. And again, that's from experience. My childhood friends are coming home now. I had friends that are like that's a thing. Like, friends are just coming home. They're getting reacclimated into society. And those kinds of questions come up a lot of like, okay, now you're home, you get some menial job, or like nobody's saying you're home, you can now become an entrepreneur and make millions of dollars.
Right.
They're like, you're home, go to Home Depot or something.
And now you're limited to any kind of
no
job.
shots to anybody that works at Home Depot.
Any kind of job you apply to, you always have to put down your past history, and so then that prevents you from getting a better job through the system. So, for someone like me, I've never actually had anyone personally in the prison system. I suppose I was fortunate in that way. But what would you want people who don't have anyone in the prison system, who have never been affected, who don't have any friends or family members, what would you want them to know about being a prisoner and then coming out? Like, what is important for others to understand?
There's two things. So one, it's hard to have some empathy if you are not aware of the culture of why so many people are incarcerated. A lot of people are incarcerated because of just their connection with other people. A lot of people are incarcerated for false reasons. And so we cannot, and what I would say is we cannot judge, although you may have not gone through it, no one in your family has, but a majority of the time the people that are in there, you count the numbers, there's a lot of innocent people behind bars. There's a lot of people who just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, talking to the wrong person. There's a lot of people who just got caught just smoking a joint, and because they were under an old law, they have been hit with so much. But then there's also the dynamics of what goes on in the African American and minority community, which is not accepted, and there is no slap on the wrist versus what happens in other communities. So now I've been, and I speak at a lot of colleges, and I've been around college students who say, we have keys of coke, like we've had that before, that's not a problem. But if it was in a black dorm in a HBCU, all of those kids would do extremely hard time for what was caught on another campus as a fun drug, and to now being thugs and drug dealers on another campus. So it's a bigger dynamic. So what I would say for those who are not aware of it, you cannot be in a position to judge and really see how you can be of support. One area is women are not supported at all in prisons at all. And the majority of the women that are in there are, most of them, because of a male connection, their boyfriend, husband, or whatever. And so the visiting rooms in a women's prison is crickets versus a male's visiting room, which these women are taking their children and themselves. And I mean, some men got to fight off and work which side chick is coming on which day. But the females could barely get their own fathers or their brothers to come see them, or a letter or a magazine or a book. So they're kind of left to fend for themselves. And I think whether you have gone through it, know someone, or don't, paying attention, yes, to the men, because it's extremely hard for them and what they go through, and just stripping their manhood, period, as soon as they walk through those doors. But for the women, visit one of them, write one of them, take a phone call, send them a book or something. I think that the outreach for these women is needed. I think we hold the key to building a nation. And so when they come out, instead of her coming out with a destroyed mentality as if no one cares, just knowing that there's a heart out there for her would make a huge difference on how she begins to raise her family,
Right.
support her spouse, build her business. It changes.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
That's a great answer. For just wanted to say, for those of you just checking in, just tuning in on the live and on YouTube, we are on the phone with Miss Lucinda Cross, who is a dynamic speaker, author, entrepreneur, and just so happens to be previously incarcerated. We're talking about what that looks like, getting out, and how do you progress, and how does life look like after incarceration.
Yeah.
So, Lucinda, what you just said, as far as that's a great point, because I know someone else who works with the transitioning of women into out of the prisons and into the real world. From your experience, why do you think that is, that the women are kind of neglected like that, and they don't get the visits? Or
And I'm gonna actually just expand on that. So, you know, not so recently, but I think the first time that specific issues for women that have come up that's been presented in media is Orange is the New Black. And I don't know how, maybe you can tell us how realistic that is or not, and what other specific situations that women face. I know you just shared a little bit with us, but how much of that is actually true?
I haven't watched Orange is the New Black.
Okay.
Because I lived it, so I didn't want to watch a TV show made up of what I've gone through. I don't think it could even begin to depict what really goes on inside. I haven't watched it because I don't think prison is entertainment.
Okay.
And shining light on that I don't think it's entertainment. Now, what I do think is entertainment is showing how women are coming home and the challenges they have to go through when they come back. I think now that would be a great show. Holler at me, Netflix, if you want to do it. But
that's nice.
For why do I think, and to answer his question as well, why do I think it's the case? One, I think that women are already held at such a high place sometimes that they are Malcolm X said it, least supported and least respected, but also the ones that are held at such a high point of, she's got it.
Yeah.
She's inside, she's got it. She's going to figure out how to cook. She's going to figure out how to make new friends. She's going to figure out how to, be a woman. She's not going to have to fight. She can hold her own, but it's the complete opposite. It's hell in there.
Wow. That's a point. We did do a lot of research, as we do with every episode, and that was something that I wouldn't have thought about. And of course, that's why we have the actual people. It's just not Nussie and I giving our opinion and perspective of things. We get someone who's actually been through it. You just made a great point. Like, I'm not watching that bullshit. That's that's not even real life. And just that point of how women are viewed outside in the free world, we think that might change when it's incarcerated. So that was a great point to make. We did talk again. We did talk about your past and everything like that. How did it look for you? I know you said you came out and you kind of just self-motivated, but how did you get into entrepreneurship?
So I always had the spirit inside of me. I always was trying to, even as a small girl, in the projects, you couldn't afford, back then they had a store called Caldors and Woolworths.
Caldors. And so, that's a New York throwback, bro. Caldors.
So being from the Bronx, you go to Caldors or you would go to Woolworths. And get some stuff. So I would sew clothes for my Cabbage Patch doll or my Barbie dolls, and then my friends was like, well, my doll needs a dress too, and so I started making some, little, you go to the penny store, get the little pickle out of that dirty jar that he's digging his hands in to give it to you in that wax paper, but it's so good. So I would make money just so I could get me a little stinking pickle. So I was making little clothes, and so starting even at the young age of 9, but seriously taking it on after I connected with a mentor. And I actively was seeking a mentor, somebody who was just doing some amazing work, pouring into the communities. And I ran into him, my mentor at the time, by accident, I say, which was on purpose, but by accident. I was coming to pitch to another organization. And she said, come to the event and, give me your pitch after the event on how I wanted to handle her small business marketing. my degree is in organizational leadership and business. And so marketing is my favorite. And so that's how I was just doing a little side work, business plans, marketing plans for small business owners in the community. And after the meeting, I mean, as she's having this conference, I hear this man speaking, and he's saying everything I needed to hear. Plus, he was just giving me a checkup from the neck up, like just digging in. There's no excuses for your background. No one in this room has an excuse because your father wasn't there, your mother wasn't there. I mean, he was just going in. And I said, wow, okay, I need him to be my mentor. And from that point, he was my mentor. I followed him for several years, just learning and being a sponge. And I said, I think I'm ready to venture into this in full time. And he said, all right, let's draft that plan and let's make it happen. But you got to show me that you can make the money that you desire to make in a matter of weeks versus what you're getting paid in a month. And that set me out because he knew, one, I was like an introvert. I really don't want to talk to anybody. I don't like networking events. I would go but stand in the corner. And so
I know about that life.
So he was like, let's show me the money, not the 30-page business plan. Show me the money from getting the client. And then we can draft a plan, and I did that.
Right, and that goes back. We're sitting here taking notes from the things that you said, and it's not that you, with your incarceration past, would have a different outlook as anyone else. That's why we really kind of want to highlight these things. You're talking about consistency. You're talking about showing up, mentorship. These are lessons for anybody coming out of incarceration or coming out of junior high school or coming out of college or whatever.
So what I hear about mentorship, right, that others, supporting you along the way has allowed you to come where you are now. And I'm also very clear that you have been supporting other women along the way as well, as I've observed just from being in the same spaces with you. And so even coming on this show tonight, we do appreciate you because we know that you didn't have to say yes to us and take time out of your busy schedule. So we really do appreciate that. Earlier you had mentioned to us that you have a level of mental preparedness that currently allows you to be in the situation where you are right now. You're in New Rochelle, and you are your town has been quarantined and it's under lockdown. And so Jarrell and I, we were kind of talking over here on the ride here, and we're like, okay, so what is it that we're going to talk about tonight? And as we started thinking about the title, we were like, it's really ironic that this is the topic that we're covering tonight, and it feels like you're kind of locked up still anyway. Tell us how you have been prepared for this situation to be there, and what you think you have that others in your community may not have that allows you to deal with this better.
Okay, so some of the stuff you broke up a little bit. What you said the title of the show is?
It was Prison to Success.
Okay.
And she's speaking basically on your quarantine situation right now. Again, for those
so
who.
So we get as I'm having lunch with my husband, and we have our son with us because the schools are closed out here. We get alerts and messages that they are sending the National Guard. So we're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Yeah. And specifically to New Rochelle, and we're like, you got to be kidding me. These people are really got to be joking. And so they're saying, just prepare yourself to have enough food and water and stuff in your home before, by Thursday. So we're like, by Thursday? And they're like, yeah. So in this particular mile or so radius, they are going to start doing, they're sending the National Guard in, they're doing tests on the residents here. Basically New Rochelle is shutting down. And I'm like, wait a minute, what, how is this all happening? Like, and, so my husband and I were like, listen, if anything, we're out of here. First of all, not to be naive, but my thought process, you're not going to test and inject. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. We're out of here. We're safe. Right. We're going to take our echinacea and our lemon water and get out of here and go stay with my mother-in-law until they figure it out. So we're just literally going to grab some of our belongings between today and tomorrow to shift, because if things are going down on Thursday, we don't want to be told that we can't leave or have to stay or whatever they're doing. I don't want nobody knocking on my door spraying anything. But because of what we know about the town, you know, with New Rochelle, a lot of money in this town. So I believe that, you know, them cleaning up this particular area is going to be a great thing. But we'll come back when the process is done. When y'all clear the air, whatever's going on, who's doing what, we'll see you there. And so it's unfortunate because I have, you know, my big conference next week. So it's like just kind of uprooting and getting out of the town just to see whatever they, you know, because it's a big frenzy. And what ends up happening is people in the community will start going crazy, and we don't want anybody. What's that movie where they start going crazy? They find one day to start snapping.
There's a lot of movies.
Snap for free. They're just free for all for this purge. The purge.
Oh, the purge.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. The whole series they made.
I don't know about these folks. So I'm gonna take me and we out of here.
We're not no purge for me, baby.
Yeah, y'all not gonna come in here and try to get in our fridge. Nah, we out of here.
No, that's a very real fear. I'm like. Even
mind you,
all the movies watch.
Right, we're joking about this, but this is actually happening right now. This is live. We're talking to someone
I'm
who
looking out my window, and there's people walking with their suitcases probably to the train, because, you know, nobody wants to deal with what's going on. And yeah, it's a serious situation, but I know that, one, I'm grateful that they are coming in town to clean up. You know, we're well overdue, and I think, period, America's well overdue with being super sanitized and super clean.
Yeah.
But with the way that people's minds are already set up, with them thinking, the people we're already on the edge, period.
Right.
We're on the edge with our president. We're on the edge with society. So we just need some of us are hanging on one piece of thread. My doorknob is not going to be that piece of thread that you want to start snapping on. So we are, it's I'm laughing, but.
You don't know how not to laugh. I mean,
It's so sad. As soon as we heard it, my husband was like, "So what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, you know, we're going to leave. We're not going to be moving in a frenzy and a haste and acting crazy and knocking things off the shelves. Like, listen, we're going to be all right. As long as my bank account works, all right, we good."
Right. And that's as serious as it can get. Talking about how this looks. Nussie and I was also speaking about, because our conference got canceled as well, Lucinda, we mentioned that a little bit earlier before you jumped on. We had a major conference coming up at the end of this month. We have another major conference next month, and both of those have been canceled, at least for the time being. And we immediately started thinking about how this might affect people, you know, again.
On a longer range.
Yeah, right. Well, we're talking about in LA right now, they're limiting public activity to 50 people, you know, so anything that's more than 50 people, it's canceled. My bro, he does an Earth Day. Shout out Derek. He does an Earth Day out there for the community. You know, they bring out hundreds of people, maybe thousands at this point, and that's canceled, and that's happening all across the country. So how does that look for a lot of people who are going through their regular life and so forth?
We were waiting so long to even, we didn't want to be the ones to cancel it, because we're New Yorkers, and we're like, we're gonna just do it, and people will show up anyway. But I guess.
And then that brought up what is the point of what we do? Right, our business Iron Perspective really started with one-on-one conversations, which is still the heart of what we'll do. We'll never stop doing that, but we're like, man, if we were doing that as often as we were when we started, man, you know, our whole business would be in jeopardy right now, of getting people together. And what is that going to look like for people who now have to adjust? So, you know, speaking on your entrepreneurship, we're really starting to look at that of like, wow, people's lives are going to be disrupted. They're 9 to 5s.
It's already been disrupted.
Yeah. And then for those folks who've been thinking about entrepreneurship, or what entrepreneurship is essentially is, you know, making something outside of a 9 to 5, is just creating something and making money from it. And I think if we see more of New Rochelle situations, even if it's not just quarantine, if they start limiting travel, if they start limiting how you go about making money, like how does that look for everyone?
Where you order your supplies from, where is it coming from?
You know, and I think this is a time where a lot of people who've been doing the work, and then Nussie asked you specifically earlier of like what has prepared you for this. I think a lot of people who are entrepreneurs and who have been able to figure out how to make money online and stuff like that, like they're about to be very, very valuable now. You know, if you can't go about and make money and feed your family in a traditional way like you used to, the entrepreneur that you might have laughed at a little bit a while ago, you might have to hit Lucinda up like, yeah, man, how can I make a little bit extra change while I'm quarantined in my house for the next 6 weeks?
So do you have any advice for any entrepreneurs or really anyone during this time of how they can build themselves up or how they can prepare or make best use of their time while home?
Definitely. So, one, take some time to read, take some time to regroup. Use this as your own inner retreat time to just figure things out. What's your next step? Take this as like maybe a calling for you to kind of settle down, not get into a frenzy, not be concerned about getting sick or dying or any of that, but really thinking about, okay, this is my wake-up call to kind of rest and regroup and restore. And even think about, are you where you want to be in your life, personally, professionally, and maybe mapping and drawing out a plan? It's the perfect time to start working on your vision board. If you wanted to write a book, start writing your book. If you wanted to work on your business plan, take some time to do the research and finding out who has what, finding out where the best economies are if you're looking to relocate, and even looking at your finances. Like, honestly, I called up my life insurance company and I said, is it too late? What is the process in terms of upgrading my life insurance policy? Let me just hear what is a part of it, even calling, even my doctor, like, is there anything that I should be doing at home with my kids and even my natural health doctor, because I like to hear from those who, you got those who just like to prescribe stuff, and you got those who are like, listen, this is what you really need to do.
Right.
And so just kind of getting information on how to stay healthy and keeping my mind right. So, one of the things that I plan on doing besides this conference, and I just thank God, our sponsors are Delta Airlines, and they're like, Lucinda, we don't have any concerns with this. Do you have any concerns? And they're moving forward with our conference next week, and I'm just grateful until we hear anything else. But we're in Harlem, and we're just telling our people, listen, we have alcohol wipes, we have hand sanitizer, we're doing the fist bump, elbow, so no offense if you're not getting a hug, but just taking certain precautions. But if you have to, sit back and you have concerns and you're sitting back at home, this is the time, I'm even able to spend more time with my son and making sure his reading is up to par. So I'm going to read for 30 minutes, you read for 30 minutes, and so it's kind of giving us space to kind of look at each other as a family as well.
I love that. That's like the most positive thing I've heard since the coronavirus has been announced. Everything is get ready, stock up, get your water, and like all those things are some necessary steps that we should probably be doing all the time.
Right.
But I love that message of like, this is going to affect everyone. It already is.
It's an opportunity for everyone to regroup.
Right. Be with family, check in with your home, check in with what it looks like, check in with your routine, check in with what you're actually scared about. If you find yourself in fear, check in with what that is. Get to reach out. For what we were talking about as far as Iron Perspective, we're like, man, who's going to want to know about perspective while all of this is going on? But at the end of the day, what we're about is empathy. We do empathy through perspective. And
empathy is going to be so much more important going forward.
Empathy is going to be paramount going forward.
As we're already seeing in the news, there's a lot of people. There's an increase in attacks. There's people in general are just acting even all sorts of funny. I mean, they've been doing it for a while now with Trump in power, but it's been really exaggerated, I think, over the last few weeks. I mean, it's probably going to get worse as we become more limited in resources and it's allergy season now too, and so we're not gonna be able to figure out soon who's really got what,
Right. You
and
got
so,
a cold, or do you have the cold?
right, like you gotta
I was on the plane. I was on the plane. I mean, and God forbid, the cough. Everybody was like,
right.
whoa.
Yeah.
We
You
were
cough
all
one
looking at the
time, and
person
everybody
like,
wants you off the plane.
Can you move my seat? Can you move my seat? But we've seen these epidemics before. We've seen this happen before with HIV and AIDS. We've seen this when Ebola. We've seen this with the Zika virus. So we've seen these things before. And listen, our ancestors, were out there in the jungle, in the field, and they made it out all right. And so whatever this thing wants to call itself, I believe we all too are also going to make it out all right.
Oh,
Wonderful.
Thank you for that. Listen, so you said you have a big conference coming up. Just let us know about that, and also where we can purchase your book, or how we can purchase your book. Yes.
Absolutely. And thank God for Amazon, because I don't know where I was going.
Amazon is gonna keep going. You don't worry about it.
They got the drones now. They don't even need delivery drivers.
My book called The Big Ask, 21 Keys. ASK, 21 Keys to Get Everything You Deserve and Desire, can be purchased on Amazon, or you can grab it from my site, lucindacross.com. My conference is March 21st. We do have a few seats left and available. It's going to be at the Alhambra Ballroom. We're kicking off at 10 a.m. And they can find out more information about that by going to thebigAskLive.com, thebigAskLive.com. And just following me on Instagram, you'll get connected to all of that. The link is in my bio, and it'll just take you to the book or the conference, or just, my YouTube channel, finding out information on what's going on and just how to stay motivated, especially in times like this. My Instagram is Lucinda Cross.
Thank you. And we'll definitely post that information as well on our site.
Lucinda, thank you so much for checking in with us. We really were excited to see you today, but we're so glad that we got to hear from you. We got to get your good energy and great vibes. Again, everybody, she's under quarantine right now.
So she's talking to us.
So if you can sound like this under quarantine, trust, you're going to be all right wherever you are. Keep yourself in high vibrations. Surround yourself with people like Lucinda. Reach out to her. Get a book. Get a book and read. Thank you so much for this. Like, I wasn't expecting this kind of conversation. We didn't even know if this was going to happen.
Right.
And I think that says enough in itself. Like, we were concerned that this whole thing was going to be canceled. A way can be made. A way will be made.
If you have the vision, then there's a way of making that work. And so, as you were saying earlier, we may not be hosting our one-on-one discussions for a little while, but we do have this opportunity here. So we will be continuing with I Am Perspective Radio. Definitely reach out and listen. And yeah, I think we're on time, right? Or do we have more time?
This was great.
Yes. Thank you, Lucinda. And yes, we actually do hope to be with you next weekend. Our schedules have freed up a little bit. Yeah. So we're definitely excited to support you next weekend. I've seen you in a conference before, the Women's Empowerment Conference back in December, and you really do know how to light up a stage. And so this is me just woman crushing a little bit right now. What day is today? It's Tuesday. It's not woman crushing, but I
love it.
I really appreciate you. Like, I'm an observer. I'm also a big introvert, so I just pay attention, and I really appreciate that even though you have achieved so much success, that you don't use that as a way to separate yourself from others and other people who are also looking to do similar kind of work and helping others. So thank you for giving back to the community.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. These are big people that we've been having on the show so far. They're doing amazing things. Miss Lucinda definitely is, she didn't have to take this time for us. She was going to actually come down here, which is out of her way.
She would take a whole Uber and everything.
Yeah, so we're very grateful for your humility, even at this stage and point that you're in, and blessing us in the audience today with your great words.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate this, and just keep doing what you're doing. And next time we'll be face to face, but I'll see you guys next week.
Yes, definitely. Looking forward to meeting you then. So
All right.
thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right.
Yes. So, as we mentioned earlier in this episode, but just a reminder, and we will be putting out an official announcement. The Iron Perspective Women's Conference and the Men's Conference will be postponed, unfortunately. We did get word today that the facilities that we were planning on using will be closed until further notice for now. But we will be, we had a very wonderful lineup. We still think that this is something that will happen, just maybe a little bit later this year. So stay tuned. Iron Perspective will be returning on radio every Tuesday from 6 to 7. So we're not going anywhere. You still have access to us.
Sure, we're gonna find a way, and we're gonna figure out a way. Even if we can't do what we've done traditionally, we've created new platforms. And before we head out again, I want to highlight something that Lucinda said as far as mental preparedness. And we said we weren't gonna hype this up and make it all scary, because everyone's gonna have to keep moving. We're gonna have to push through this.
We're gonna have to find new ways.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find new ways, and we're gonna have to really be mentally sharp. We're gonna have to stay together. We're gonna have to have love. As corny as that sounds, we're gonna really have to dig in and show love for each other. We honestly had this conversation of like, yo, what's the point of Iron Perspective when people are worried about other stuff?
Right, and empathy is still going to be important.
Empathy is everything.
We're going to need that as we're going into these tougher times. People are going to be going through all different things. There are already people out there that have been affected that they don't know how they're going to get food on the table now, right?
So be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Be mindful of your neighbors. Be mindful of your human neighbors.
Yes.
Race, creed, or whatever, man. You don't want to be out here experiencing some of the things that people are.
This is not the time to be taking out your anger on anyone, right?
Man.
So
only love is going to get us through that.
yes.
So thank you very much for everyone who has checked in from the safety of your home.
Episode 10.
Episode 10.
Prison. Wait, Success After Prison, but we just renamed it to Locked Up. Next we have Speak Into Existence with May I Speak.
And next week we'll be right back here,
Yes.
WEMSradio.com from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Tuesday. Iron Perspective Radio. We love you. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Like, share, repost. We will holla. Be safe. Be in love. Peace. It's a wrap.